It's such an exciting time of year when the seed catalogs arrive, and all I want to do is curl up in front of the fire, make circles, order my seeds, dream about the spring. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of planning so I can be more strategic about where I buy my seeds and what seeds I buy. So before I get to ordering new seeds, it's really important to look at the seeds I already have. When you order seeds every year, seed packets have way more seeds than you would use in a year. Sometimes you're going to use them all up, but most times you're not. So what you want to look at with the seeds that you have is you want to take them and discard some of them. So these might be seeds that are too old. Seeds can last up to 10 years. You can find resources about different lengths of time that different kinds of seeds last, but I find I just like to start over if they're more than 2 years old. So seeds from 2020, it's 2024. It's okay. I'm just going to leave these be. You also want to look at seeds that you maybe don't want to grow anymore that you did grow last year. I've got some green zebra tomatoes here that I tried to grow the last 2 years. I didn't really love them. They didn't really do all that well. I didn't really end up with that good of a crop. I'm just not going to bother. So I'm going to put these aside as well. So you want to go through your whole seed collection and decide which ones you don't want anymore. And you want to just make sure you know how many of those seeds you have. So you don't want to open a package later on and be surprised you only have 2 of those tomato seeds when you thought you had a bunch. That's the first step, is inventorying the seeds you currently have. So after that, you want to take the seeds and you want to look at them and decide what worked last year and think about varieties that you would like to grow or that you did grow. That might be something like what kinds of things you like eating. Do you like eating things fresh? Do you like having things for storage? And then what kind of growing habit do you have as well? So do you want things that are more compact? Do you want things that are more sprawling and can take up vertical space in your garden? Really depends on what kind of an area you have. So once you've inventoried your seed collection and decided what you already do have and you already like, you're going to think about what to order. I'm going to suggest that before you go to the catalog and start flipping through and picking what you want to order based on what you see here, you want to dream up your ideal varieties according to your garden conditions. That might be something like thinking about what kind of pests and diseases you had last year. We often get powdery mildew on our zucchinis, so if I'm going to order zucchinis, I'm going to say, okay, I want those zucchinis to be powdery mildew resistant. But also I find zucchinis take up a lot of space. So I'm going to say, okay, my ideal zucchini also has more of a bush habit instead of a vining habit. So it's not going to sprawl all over the garden. Something like tomatoes. I find tomatoes are the most beautiful part of the seed catalog. There are so many colors and textures, and they all look so beautiful and healthy. You just can imagine those growing in your garden so easily. But if you think about it, what's your favorite kind of tomato to grow? What are you going to use them for? How are you going to grow them? So we grow tomatoes in a couple of ways. We grow them in our greenhouse. So for those, I want indeterminate tomatoes that I can climb up on wires. Let's get some really delicious, really prolific cherry tomatoes that can grow in buckets. So they'd be determinate varieties. Other things like beans. Do you want pole beans or do you want bush beans, which fit better into your garden? I like yellow beans because I find they're more tender. And I also want ones that are really prolific because I like to preserve them and make pickled beans as well as eat them fresh. Just thinking about the types of things you want to grow in your garden and then about the varieties. So then once you've got a nice list of your sort of dream cultivars and your garden ideas and what you want to grow, then it's time to look to seed catalogs. But I'm going to make another suggestion here. Instead of going to the big seed catalogs, which are fantastic companies that do a really good job and produce these really great resources, I think that first you should look at the local seed companies in your area. They don't usually have print catalogs because that's really expensive to do, and just sort of start to see what kinds of things they have available and if those can match up with what you're looking for. If you're growing things from a local seed company, you're going to find heirlooms that are local to your area. It just sort of adds a little bit of interest to what you're growing, which is fun. The best thing about these catalogs isn't necessarily ordering the seeds from them, but it's the information that they contain. They have all kinds of different information about different vegetable growing conditions, what kind of temperatures seeds germinate at, about spacing. I think of these as almost like a resource that I can look at. There's also catalogs like the Whole Seed Catalog, which is from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. They're in the United States, outside of my climate zone. They have the most beautiful pictures, and they have really nice recipes. And they also have short articles about the sort of culture and history of different kinds of plants, both flowers and vegetables. So this is like basically buying a book. Use it as a resource, use it as something that's, beautiful to look at. And then we can take these catalogs and curl up on the couch and look at them, and a way to dream about the coming spring, because it won't be long.